Good Tuesday morning, everybody. It is September 20th, 2022. You are watching Finance and Technology Insights with Brian and Eric. I am your co-host, Eric Buhrendorf. Along with me, I have my friend and esteemed colleague, Brian Williams of Northshire Consulting. How's it going, Brian?
Good, very good. How are you doing?
Doing good. We took a week off last week because I was away at a conference. So I apologize for that. I thought we were going to get it in on Wednesday, but the reason why we record on Tuesday is because the day after a break is always kind of stacked up for me. And
it is tough. Yeah. And I had to deal with a bunch of angry complaints from all the followers, listeners, watchers. So I just had to beat them back for a week. But
it's crazy. It's crazy. So how's it
absence
going?
makes the heart grow fonder, right?
Yeah.
We'll probably double the views and listens this week.
Yeah. So what I miss? What was going on? Or you want me to lead in?
Yeah, so you were away. You were at a conference. Let's lead off with that because I'm interested in that, and I've held off asking you about it, so we could do it here.
So I guess it was. Let me see if they still have a page up for it. Let's see. Doing this live. It looks like they're already. Oh, it's still up here. Here. So they're promoting next year, but I can bring in this. I was at a convention called DattoCon. It was DattoCon 22. They're already promoting DattoCon 23. DattoCon is Datto is a leading provider of cybersecurity products. They mostly backup and disaster recovery products. And so Datto is originally a Norwalk, Connecticut company, and they host a convention where they get their customers and future customers together, and they put together a whole bunch of learning moments, product educational moments, everything that happens at conferences, right? And this was my first one. I've never attended it before. Datto bought a software company called Autotask, which is like Autotask is a practice management software for IT companies, and Datto bought Autotask in 2000, I think 17, 18, 17, something like that. And Autotask had their own convention. So I think DattoCon became kind of the Autotask Datto convention over the last couple of years. And then just a couple months ago, a huge company called Kaseya just bought Datto. So that was the big news and big kind of theme. Although the Kaseya brand was not really mentioned too much there.
Yeah. How do you spell that? That's
Kaseya, KaseyA, Kaseya. There's Kaseya. So Kaseya is just this growing behemoth of products that MSPs and IT companies like mine use to perform our services, from business management to security products to backup products. And of course, their acquisition of Datto gives them the leading solution provider for backup and disaster recovery. So, yeah, it was good. It was good to, let me bring us tight here again. It was good to be back networking, which effectively I have not done in-person networking in years, probably a couple of years. I'd say 3 years. So that was good to get back. It was good to get to traveling. Last conference I went to was in Phoenix in, I want to say 2018 or 19. And my first time to Phoenix, and I got trapped in a snowstorm coming in. Yeah, and I think we were going. I don't know if it was via Atlanta or Chicago. I forgot which airport it was, but we got stuck in the connector, and I had to sleep in the airport. and it was a nightmare. So fortunately, I didn't have this. This conference was in DC, so that was a direct flight from Hartford to Reagan. I flew right into Reagan, and then took the train right into DC proper. So it was fun.
So, what are your thoughts on a conference that's being sponsored by a single entity like that versus something that's more of like an industry conference? Does that because I have my feelings, which I'll probably get to after, like in our investment world. I'm kind of curious what yours are
I
in the
mean,
tech world.
yeah, good question. And so one of the reasons why I didn't go to these conferences years and years ago is because it felt way too self-serving for me. So obviously, Datto or any company putting on a conference has like top billing when it comes to promotion, right?
Mhm.
As they should. I mean, they're managing the effort, they're outlaying the money. If a conference is done well, there is enough value in the conference to go to the conference, even though it's hosted by a company that clearly wants to sell you products. Datto, for example, I think is a highly beloved company. So the people who are really selling their products, Datto had kind of product boot camps. So, it could be a really positive experience for companies to send their employees to go to these boot camps to learn more about the products that they sell, learn more about the integrations and the configuration. So it can really be productive. I think Datto really kind of struck a good balance between self promotion and support of their products, and bringing additional value from other vendors. I mean, make no mistake, these kind of conferences, and I've been to a number of, and I've been an exhibitor at some conferences in our vertical space, like the legal conferences and things.
Mhm.
It is nothing but a shooting gallery for sales. I mean, it's just a
Right.
huge sales machine. But again, there is value in seeing what kind of vendors and service providers are operating in your space that can bring more capital and utility to running your business. There is value in networking. There is value in going to these boot camps and side seminars to learn more about the tools that you may be selling or the tools you may be using. What do you think?
Yeah, I for the product specific ones in our industry, it's a little bit tough. So I guess maybe there's more of like three categories. So you might have like a product specific seminar or conference, and then you might have the ones that are specific to a company, like the company that you'd work for, like a larger aggregation firm or one of these chain franchise. Those things I find a little bit creepy with their rah-rah sessions, and they do like the big wide angle shot of all the employees and everybody's so happy. Those things are like they're a little bit cult like. There's no, I mean, obviously I'm not part of one of those organizations anyway, so those I find super creepy. But the industry conference ones, you're right. They are obviously sales. People are going there to sell and buy the booths and whatever. But we need products. We need services, right? So you might as well
An
go there and
ecosystem.
yeah. You need to get that. You need to talk to the people, and especially now, I know I look at some of these conferences and I see on LinkedIn people that are there. It's like, man, I would have gone just to like have a face to face with these people, just to kind of see what they look like overall. So, did that factor in? Were you able to talk to some people that maybe you haven't met in person before?
I was really hoping to meet some. So I've been participating in my peer space probably for the last 2 years heavily. I was in some peer groups maybe about 5 years ago, which was great. Met some relationships, or made some relationships.
Mhm.
But in the last 2 years, I've really been participating heavily in my peer group, and I was hoping to meet some more people closer to product development on some of the products that
Mhm.
we use. But that didn't happen as I wanted to happen, but that's okay. I mean, it was still, I did meet some other people that are operating in the space. So all in all, it was a pretty positive experience. Before we move on, I just want to mention who our keynote speakers were.
Yeah.
They had Mark Rober And if you've been on the internet or YouTube in the last year or more, you might know Mark Rober. Even if you watch only mainstream TV, Mark Rober is friends with, or he became a favorite or friend of Jimmy Kimmel.
Mhm.
Jimmy Kimmel, late night TV, has had Mark Rober on his show doing science experiments and things like that. Basically, Mark Rober is a former NASA engineer, an Apple engineer turned YouTuber, and he does a bunch of feel good videos on YouTube with all things engineering. Um, Gary V was their second keynote speaker, who I feel like I was aware of kind of on the periphery, but he's not somebody that I've subscribed to or follow uh, closely. But he was pretty interesting. He was very inspirational. It's really funny. It was like 3,000 people or 2,000 people in the hall during the keynote speeches. Kaseya's CEO came out, and he was in a really crisp, European styled suit and shoes. And, he's, talking about his multi-billion dollar company and their acquisition of Datto and all that stuff. And it was very clean and polished. And all the other organizers and people from Datto and Kaseya were very clean and polished. And then Mark Rober came out, who is like Mr. Dude everything, and like the tone of his voice is like, you feel like he's got a surfboard behind the curtain, just waiting for him to get off stage. And he's like a dude, bro. And then Gary V came out, and apparently he's he's from Jersey. He's very tri-state esque, very Jersey, New York esque.
In the best way possible.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not knocking anybody. It's just so, basically Rober was like West Coast,
Yep.
and Gary V was East Coast. And it only took like a couple minutes before he dropped his first F-bomb. And then by the end of the hour of time that he was on stage, it was like, you could tell the first F-bomb, like everybody was like appreciated. It's like,
Mm.
oh wow, this guy's really cutting to the bone. Like he's making his point. And then
Yeah.
by the end of the thing, it was just like every other word was just F. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was so funny. Um, both of the Mark spoke about how to be an influencer, which was, I thought, valuable information to. And it was like how to be an influencer. And he says, this is how I leverage the model of being an influencer,
Mm.
through social media and YouTube sales and things like that. But he was really adapting this and saying, like, being an influencer helps as being a business leader, a business operator,
Mm.
because you want to influence, we're always trying to help people understand that we are our subject matter experts, and that they're safe with us. And, and so he was just speaking to that.
So,
Gary
so let me
V.
ask let
Go
me
ahead.
ask you there, and I guess probably Gary had probably he's probably had a pretty similar journey, so he had a similar message. How does that concept of being an influencer go over with the Datto crowd, or the crowd that's coming there? Um, there's a lot of people in the audience seeking to become influencers,
No,
or
no,
not?
and Gary V was so funny about it. They both kind of covered that. Gary V leaned in heavily into what channels to use for marketing, and
Hmm.
would not stop talking about LinkedIn.
Hmm.
He says that LinkedIn could be the single channel one could use right now to promote their business, and double, triple their business in a year or two or something. Um, but the way Gary V articulated it was, he gave some stats, and no, he responded and said, like, nobody here is going to go home and start doing YouTube videos or LinkedIn videos. And he said all the reasons, the ego. He mentioned some people don't, you know, some people really uh, take pride in not having a Facebook account.
Hmm.
Some people, oh, that social media stuff, that's not for me. Like, as if they're above it. They've made it this far in life. They don't need that stuff. And Gary V just torched those people, just torched them. He's like, if you're doing 100 mil or 50 mil a year, like, good on you, keep going, you know what I mean? But you're not. And he would like speak like that. You're not doing 50 million a year. You
Right.
know what I mean?
You
And
wouldn't be there watching him if you were,
and
right?
that's what he was saying. Like he
Yeah.
was leaning into that, and it was so he was like he was cutting to the bone and had this abrasiveness to him,
Mhm.
but he also had this like humanity to him, this empathy. He says, "I'm here to try to save you from yourself. You know,
Mhm.
I'm here to try to empower you." And then he spoke of his successes and things like that, and he tried to draw the connection at like, how, you know, just go home and make, you know, a 2-minute video talking about something you know about for on LinkedIn once or twice a day, and that's really all you have to do. So I don't know. I'm off the rails here,
No,
but
this is good. I wanted to touch on this, and this will help our SEO too, because we'll tag them both.
right,
No, but
right,
that's interesting. I mean, it's from a Gary V perspective, and we talked a little bit about this kind of offline as you came back. I did not. I'm not a big fan generally of that. I mean, the language stuff doesn't like bother me. You know, I'm not like morally opposed to it or whatever. But it did originally. Me watching him like was kind of turned off by him. But the more I see him, and the more I've seen some sort of behind the scenes or more candid stuff. And I don't know if you've ever seen the underrated, overrated things that he does. I get a kick out of those. Those are kind of funny. So I've actually become a pretty big Gary V fan over time. And you can't go on any platform without seeing him somewhere, somebody referencing him. But
yeah. I feel like I've seen him once or twice in passing, but I didn't. You know, he never entered my sphere
mhm.
of media stream, so to speak. So so I
Yeah,
don't have
he's
much experience with him, but I think I kind of got the. It only took me an hour of his keynote to catch up. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
And I got to tell you too, like I'm no stranger to a 4-letter word. I think
Hmm.
it 4-letter word. We live in a time where like you can use a 4-letter word in the workspace, and it's accepted and even helps deliver a point from time to time. I got to tell you, like I was kind of exhausted at the end of
Hmm.
his hour of the colorful language, because I just think it could. I think he had a really powerful. I think he had powerful messaging, and I think powerful things to say. Um, and I just feel like maybe some of that could have been lost. Of course, he doesn't give a shit because he's a billionaire.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a little four. There's a yeah, that's 4 letters there for you.
Yeah.
Trying to make a point. So yeah, traveling, back to networking. Um, that's what's happening with
Yeah.
me.
Is it a conference you'd go back to? Is it an annual thing, or maybe once every 3 or
It
4 years?
I'll just bring this up one more time. It's an
Yeah.
annual thing. It's an annual thing. There are, they
I mean,
start.
for you, are you gonna put it in your rotation for every
Yeah,
year?
so I think so. I think so. The next one's in Miami in October. My poor wife has to hear me say this a lot. I'm not a big traveler in the fall. Like I don't feel the need to get out of
Mm,
town in October and November. Like
mhm.
apple picking season and then Thanksgiving and
Yep.
so like October, November, December. I kind of like sticking around. I wish these things were in February, in
Mm,
March.
yep.
I'd love to be in Miami in February for a conference,
Yeah.
but
Some of them are, right? I mean, they're spread out throughout the year. I mean, at
there
least
are there's another conference that happened for it's the Connecticut Legal Association or Connecticut Bar Legal Annual Conference. I used to
mm,
be an exhibitor there from time to time. That one happens on the last day of school for us.
oh,
So it's like I'm not gonna. It's such a hard, this conference that I just was at, the last day was on my wife's birthday. And it was like, it's difficult to some of these, when you prioritize family first and you have these things, especially when you've been working remotely for the past
mhm.
5 years, um, so I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah. Am I going to go again? I think I probably will go to this again, next year in October in Miami. I do. I have my eyes out open for some other conferences to see what's going on there, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm all over this conference thing, so I wanna keep going with it, but,
Yeah.
so
Well,
was
tell me about you. What what was your last conference?
my last conference was I went to So this one was actually sort of product specific. So it was a mutual fund family, ETF family, but they were, I don't know, getting nerdy here, but kind of an aggregator of sub advisors. I don't know how else to really say that,
Aggregator or
but
sub-advisors? That's the
yes, I
sexiest
know.
thing I've ever heard anybody say.
I know it was a really bad one, but that's so instead of being just we're ABC mutual funds and we have these three ABC mutual funds, they were ABC Mutual Fund Group, and we have this group in Japan that focuses on Japanese technology, or we have this group in Boston that focuses on, you know, small cap financials or something like that, you know. So they aggregated a bunch of different strategies. So they would be looking for, they would be acquirers of some of these boutique asset managers or whatever. So when you go to one of these things, you don't feel like you're in the funnel of ABC Financial and all their funds. This was, you know, you're bouncing around, and a lot of times you will get conflicted positions, which is obviously what you want. You know, you're going to this one and they're saying, you know, big cap tech is the way to go, and then your next session is they're saying, you know, small cap value banks are the way to go. You know, so that was the last one that I went to. That was pre-pandemic, and
Was is it world famous or semi-famous, or is
no,
it
it was.
hyper regional or what?
So it was in Chicago. I would say it was regional. You know, met some. You know, at those things, some of the best conversations you have are at lunch or at dinner or whatever.
Right.
But it was just, yeah, it was just good to get out of town. I don't actually remember. I think that was a fall conference. Um, but
Should I pull it up? Does it
You
have
know, I
any
don't even
brand
remember what it
recognition?
I don't even remember what it was called, and it might actually been, like, kinda invite only, I think, so it
Oh, okay.
wasn't one that, and not that I was some kind of elite thing or whatever, but they were focused on a certain niche, and maybe there's a couple 100 people there or something, so we're all, you know, in the same hotel room.
Is there an industry behemoth or a
There's
vendor?
a few. So there's one called Wealth at Work coming up, and I've had a bunch of LinkedIn folks messaging me like, "Oh, are you going to be at Wealth at Work?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going to be poor at home." That's been my
Oh, that's
lame
right.
punny comeback for those. But there's a few. I mean, they just went through a non-qualified deferred comp conference, which is kind of funny to say that. But there's a few of those. There was also just a
Is
what
this
was
it
the
here that I have open?
let's see here. Wealth at Work. Yep.
Helping employees achieve financial freedom. So this is a conference for your target audience, right?
It's more advisor focused. Yeah, it's not necessarily for.
Would you be an exhibitor at this, or would you be an
No,
attendee?
no, I'd be an attendee. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the agenda? What's on the
So
agenda?
this used to be called. It changed names. It used to be, I believe, the Excel 401k conference, but they've changed that. So looking at the speakers. So Oh, that's a lot of speakers. I was just on the, I think on the homepage, but Jake I know very well. He's a good friend of mine. Sherry I know a little bit. All these people I've at least had some sort of interaction with them at some point. But
Any of these on your any have you had them on your show? On your 401k and
uh,
beyond?
actually, yeah, Jake and I we did a fun session. I should actually reach out to him again. But what we did is we pulled up a 5500, which is a tax filing for a 401k, and we just went through and like kind of ripped it apart about like what was good or bad about their plan. Because once you get over 100 employees, there's a lot of public information on your plan. So we kind of we went through that, and that was kind of fun. But
Nice. Look at all these professionals have LinkedIn profiles. Good for them.
yeah, I would hope so.
Have you ever seen so many people have a LinkedIn profile?
Well, I would think almost everybody would have something at this point.
We were, well, I don't want to detract, but yeah, not everybody has one still. It's surprising. Which I
Yeah,
guess Gary, but case in point with Gary V, right? I mean,
yeah.
LinkedIn is where you should be. So look
Is
at all
this?
these lovely professionals ready to talk about. Wow, these are a lot of speakers. Holy moly!
Yeah.
You got to listen to all these
Um,
people over a 3-day period.
yeah, gosh, that'd be exhausting.
And then here's your agenda: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That was mine. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 1 o'clock. Retirement plans for small business. Uh, the salon private room. So okay, these are breakout rooms. Networking, promote,
The
reception.
Hive.
So that's cool.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good. I'll try to put that on my session for for next year. It's just
So you will attend this next year, you think?
I'd like to, yeah. I mean, I'm just looking through. Actually, down in the speaker section, John Ruth, I did have him on. So he's from Build Asset Management. I had him on to talk about his funds.
John Ruth.
Um,
John Ruth.
yeah, he's towards the bottom, second row up from the bottom.
John Ruth.
Craig Rosenthal, I know pretty well. So John Sullivan, he's the editor-in-chief of 401k Specialist, and they're the media partner for this. So so that was another question I had for you. Was there anybody, did you see people with a bunch of phones open recording videos and selfie sticks? Was there anything like that? And was there anything more formal? Was there you're laughing, but and then also, was there like another side desk of something more formal? Did you see anybody setting up shop for content?
So they had an app for the convention. They had an app for the convention, and there was a social component to it, but it didn't do well to like if somebody posted something, like you didn't get an alert on the app to say, hey, come look at this. So as like as people were contributing, like if you posted something, it would just get buried quickly. If somebody liked your post, you wouldn't get an alert that said, somebody liked your post. So the social component within the app was not really great. So I took to Facebook, and they had a Facebook group called DattoCon 22.
Oh,
And I feel like I was the biggest contributor to this group. Not the only one by far, but let me just do a scroll. Let me see like when the first contribution I make may show up. So it was where the keynotes recorded. This guy said, here's some people posting. Oh, Shaq was, so at the after
yes.
party on Tuesday night was hosted by Shaq. I flew out Tuesday night. So I didn't get to see him, and I didn't get to stick around, but I did see the pictures that Shaq was there. I don't know if I'll probably make a liar out of me. Yeah, the booze there was crazy. Like I didn't drink, of course, while I was there, but like there's alcohol everywhere. So here's my first contribution, right? One thing that happened was there were a ton of vendors there, or exhibitors there, and one of the most common pieces of swag there, or swag,
Yes, WAG,
swag.
I believe. Yep.
Swag were like free socks. So I had like a ton. I was collecting like a ton of free socks, and I was just like, I guess I was just floored by how many pairs of socks were offered.
Oh, floored. I see what you did there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I started calling it SockCon 2022 was my hashtag, which I don't think anybody appreciated there. But look, this is my post here, just a couple more posts down. And this was early too. Like this doesn't. I think there was like 4 times as many pairs of socks that I think I gathered. But look at this. If the vendors can bring underwear next year, I won't have to pack. Is what my post was. And this got the most likes at 46 and counting.
Hey, there you go.
So I thought that was funny.
Yeah. So that hashtag is that something you've seen? Are people keeping that going like for the last week or so? Or
no, but I guess this is my point, right? So look, there's another post that I made. One of the speakers was from the FBI. This gentleman here is the head of the cybersecurity division for the FBI. And I was trolling them this was me taking pictures from the conference hall. And this guy's got Batman socks. So he's the I forgot who he's the chief information officer with Datto, and he's got Batman socks. And this guy only has black or blue regular socks. And so I took a picture and said, I hope Jason lets Brian know he can get a proper pair of socks in the exhibitor hall. And I didn't get much love. So the point is, like, not a lot of people taking. There's another one for me, trolling them a little bit. So there's
you're putting out content. I mean, it's internal to the group, but still.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to get the social going, but it was a little light. There's another one here. Oh,
Yeah.
this is funny. So, Fred Vicola, this is the CEO of Kaseya. Early, I think this was Sunday night or Monday. He launched, with his keynote, and I couldn't tell if this is a software feature or just for the conference, but he introduced Cooper, the Kaseya mascot, and he
Oh,
says that he was going to be AI driven and goal based to offer insights and support for, I don't know, the users or whatever. I don't know if this is a software function. I couldn't ascertain whether this was a software thing or if this was just for the conference, but I couldn't help but look at my post here. Do you see that? It,
no, I
my
don't. No.
my post says it
Oh,
looks like
okay.
you're trying to run an MSP. Would you like some help with that? Do you know what I'm invoking there?
No, tell me.
Do you remember Clippy?
Oh,
Clip,
yeah.
you remember
Sure.
Clippy from
Yeah. Yeah,
Microsoft?
Microsoft.
Microsoft Clippy. We're going really off the rails here. Let me do it. Let me see if there's a video here. Life of Clippy. I don't know this.
Still makes his way around a little bit. Clippy does. I'm saying he. I don't know. I don't know what
Right.
he.
He. It may be a they. He may be non-binary. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I was hoping for a quick classic Clippy YouTube Clippy clip. There you go. 38. There's
Oh,
Clippy.
yeah.
Remember him
Yeah,
or her
sure.
or they?
Yeah.
I hear
He's just
typing
there
on a
to help.
keyboard. I'm not sharing my audio, so you don't hear this, but there's typing. Somebody's working on a keyboard right now.
Yeah.
Ah, look at that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a virtual AI assistant, maybe a little bit ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Clippy. Clippy was just ahead of its time. It could have morphed into Siri or something later on. Alexa.
Right.
Clippy.
Right. So yeah, that's yeah. So this shows all about the show of the conference.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's interesting. But so there wasn't a big like stage where somebody was broadcasting live from, DattoCon. Nothing like that.
They had a pretty significant production team. That at one point they showed the back of the stage on the screens, and there was a like a substantial production team running. It was pretty impressive, actually. The money that they spent on it was pretty big.
And so where do you think they got most of the payback from? Is it you paying to attend, the vendors paying to attend, or they think they're going to sell a lot of product off it?
I have to imagine. So they had two. I think they had 2,000 like 800 exhibitors or attendees, and I think we paid about I think we paid about $400 as an attendee. So simple math. No, did I didn't do that right. 2,800 attendees times $400. Wow. Look at that. 1.1 million in attendees fees.
Yeah,
That's pretty amazing. And
yeah.
then I would guess that they had about I would guess that they probably had about 40 exhibitors, and
Mm,
at one point somebody said the exhibition costs like $10,000 or $20,000. So
wow.
what did I say? 40 exhibitors times, well, let's just say $20,000. So there's almost another mil.
Okay.
So two 2 million on exhibitors and attendees, and I'm just wondering, they get. I mean, what does Gary V and Rober think? You think they get paid on a
I
on
don't
a
know. I would
on a
I would
spot?
guess geez, I don't know.
100 grand?
That feels a little bit high. I was initially going to go there, but then I've actually researched like getting speakers to come to stuff. I would guess maybe 25, 30. You could probably
I
look it up. I mean, Gary Vee's all about price transparency, so
right,
it's
right.
probably out there.
Gary V speaking fee.
I mean, and that's probably plus
The estimated speaking fee range to book Gary V for your event is $100 to $200,000, according
Okay.
to allamericans.com. I mean, whether that's you know realistic or not, that's, I would guess, over 100K for the two of those guys.
Yeah, I mean that probably includes, maybe his room, board, travel, all that kind of stuff too. I don't know if they're
Right,
like rock stars where they demand a specific number of Oreo packages at a certain temperature at a certain hour and
right.
nonsense like that, but they probably
But
do.
plus, you had like a several 100,000 square foot conference center
Yeah,
allocated for 3 days. That must have been. I got to imagine that was a half a mil or more. I mean,
yeah.
that just
Was
for
your
that.
room included in your fee?
No, no, travel and room for us not included. So, and then there was some food, although the food was inconsequential. Shaq was DJing. What do you think Shaq gets for a DJ spot? I don't
Oh
think I
gosh,
don't think Shaq's getting 100K.
I don't know. Did
Maybe.
he do any like meet and greets or anything
I
after?
don't I don't think so. I don't think so, but I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know if the fees definitely offset the cost, but I'm sure it was a loss leader, sales machine for them. So
Yeah, I was looking up. So there's you probably know about this, but I didn't. This is MSP Success Magazine. But they did some content, some streaming stuff. They did.
that looks like
Uh,
Robin Robbins branding, MSP Success Magazine.
yeah, and then so they did some live from DattoCon. Uh,
Oh, did
not
they?
not a not a whole lot of views or hits here, but yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out later. I'm just curious. It looks like they at least had some sort of basic table there with some magazines laid out on front, so
That's
doesn't
funny.
cost too much to spin something like that up these days.
Right, right. They were probably doing that right from the booth.
Yeah.
It's funny. So, anyways, enough about that. That's conferences.
Yep.
I want to know what's going on. Well, let's talk personal. What's going on with you, Luke, and Lauren? Anything going
Oh,
on?
so we, we're a couple weeks into back to school. We decided on karate as
Oh,
Luke's activity. So he did some swimming when he was baby at the Y. But he hasn't done anything like that as far as any kind of organized sports or any sort of regular activity like that. So we were in agreement that we wanted him to do something that was not necessarily like sport specific. Like 4-year-old soccer is like, to me, it's just kind of a waste. They're standing around most of the time or something. So we had talked about karate or something like gymnastics or even back to swimming again or something like that. That was because you can go from that to anything else. You know what I mean? So like
yeah,
if you do gymnastics from age 4 to 10 and then you decide you want to play baseball, you can probably pick that up as well as somebody who's been playing baseball for 5 years, in my
sure.
opinion. So we wanted to karate, strength, focus, discipline, flexibility, all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
there's a place that's kind of on the way home from his daycare that got pretty good reviews. That guy does a good job locally. He goes to different events and stuff and does some demonstrations and whatever. So he's putting himself out there, and Luke seems to like it. He's about 3 classes in. He's got the robe. He's got
The gi.
his belt. Yeah, he's into it. So it's the class is like 4 to 6 year olds, and it's just kind of a rolling class, I believe. So you just kind of start whenever and then age out of it whenever. So
Yep.
so you've got some new kids coming in every so often. It's a decent sized class, maybe peak is maybe like 20 kids, 25 kids or something like that. So obviously he's at the newer end of that, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, that is fun.
He's very much like a thinker and a looker and an observer and that kind of stuff, which in a lot of ways is good. With karate, with that sort of quick, loud, is very much different than what he's been exposed to, and very much different than what he's used to. Because by the time he hears it, thinks about it, and I can see it in his eyes the way his brain works, good or bad. So he's like, "Why am I doing this? What's the perfect way to do?" But he's analyzing it, and they're on to the next pose. They're on to the next whatever. But so this will be good for him. This will kind of shock his brain a little bit by going to the other side.
Good.
Um,
And
So
you
we're excited about that.
and you said that you were on a dog sitting chore
We did,
task.
yeah, yeah. And I jokingly put something on LinkedIn. It's like, yeah, anybody will trust you with their money. That's the easy part.
Did you post that?
Yeah, I said something to the effect of, any client will trust you with their money. That's the easy part. But to let them watch your dog, that's a whole other level of trust and responsibility, which isn't that far from the truth. So it's like, here's a check for $1 million, but oh, be careful with my dog this weekend. So that was kind of fun. It's a client where I had
Ah,
gone to
there
the,
it is. I missed that. Why did I miss that?
I don't know. It's a weekend post. So I try to do something. If I'm doing a personal or something family, I'll usually throw that out on the weekend. That's sort of my cadence for that. But so
Clients
this was,
trusting you to manage money is easy. Trusting you to watch their dog is a whole nother level. I love it.
yeah. So so that was a picture I had taken when I was at their house doing some forms at their kitchen table, and he was my buddy that day. So but he was a good size for Luke. Luke's been around dogs. Luke likes dogs, but we haven't had a dog. So this was a good little trial. No overnight. They dropped him off about 10 in the morning, picked him up about 6. So we got to do some walks. We got to, let him in the house. We got to, throw the tennis ball around the yard. So it was a good little bit of trial for Luke. I think we'll probably end up getting a dog maybe in a couple years or so. Maybe when he's like 6 or 7. That's kind of the target, I guess. So
Good.
yeah, so that was
Good.
good because there was a point when we were taking Toby for a walk, and Luke kind of didn't want to go, and we were like, hey, this is the deal, man. If you get a dog, you gotta walk him. Like it's not an option.
Yeah,
So
my father, I don't know if you knew this, he lives with us in our in-law suite, and he is now the manager of the girls' bunny. The girls got a
mm,
bunny. My wife got the girls a bunny, I think a year or so ago. And my dad's a former Marine, so retired Marine, or not retired Marine, former Marine, and kind of he runs a real kind of tight ship. And when he sees the 5-year-old and 9-year-old like not tending to their chore the first thing in the morning, and in the afternoon, and so we all look on the back, and there's Poppy in the backyard just cleaning clean,
yeah.
cleaning a rabbit hutch, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, but I'd say we did a pretty good job with that, but it didn't leave my wife wanting, like, pushing for a dog like we need one now, which sometimes but and I think she'd like something a little bit bigger than Toby, but for Luke and his size and being a 4-year-old and something big that's gonna knock him over and whatever. But yeah, we had a good time with that. So
Good.
uh yeah, so what's going on in your world for Eric's world?
Yesterday, so we're my girls are in soccer, and yesterday my oldest just started what's called travel soccer,
Hmm.
which is a little more competitive, a little more busy than your town rec league, and we're struggling a little bit, I think, with. So my wife registered my oldest one, so she was dealing with the kind of team communications and planning and things, and practices kept getting canceled and pushed and changed, and um, that was for the first few weeks, and I just kind of like paid attention yesterday, where we were just kind of getting ready for bed, and she said, "Oh, here's the coach again. Coach just canceled practice for tomorrow," and this was, I think, yesterday for no, the day before for yesterday. And it just kind of lit me up a little bit, because she's not, we're spending good money for this travel league, and I've never coached a team before, but I feel like been wanting to do it, but I don't want to overstep, you know what I mean. I'm not a former D3 division champion or whatever, and I never went up to the leagues, but I'm pretty athletic, and I'm pretty sporting, so I feel like I could help a bunch of fourth graders with their fundamental soccer. So I emailed the coach, and I said, listen, the parents want to get the girls on the field. They need to be on the field. They lost their game on Sunday, 3-0. So I said, why don't
3-0. Let's listen to you. 3-0. You're
yeah,
all up
3-0,
in it.
3-0, yeah. So I emailed the coach. I was like, "Listen, like I'll run the squad and just practice some fundamentals if you let me." And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So he emailed the group and said, some parents are going to run practice.
Mm.
So I coached my first little league game, or not game, I get it, practice,
Yeah.
and it was fun.
Good.
So that's what's going on with me
Your daughter
personally.
like that or not like that?
Did my daughter like that? I think she likes it. I tend to volunteer for everything.
Mm,
I'm one of those parents, and I think they like it still. Although I think she may be starting to like it less.
mm.
But I also know how to conduct myself around her now. So the older one is really, as long as I don't be too me, as long as I'm not too me to her in front of her. She doesn't want hugs and kisses and direct interaction. So she wants to
Yeah.
be treated like a peer when she's out there. So that's kind of what I did for her.
Mhm. Yeah, they asked for, in Luke's, so he went once as a trial, and then I took him back for his first, like, official class, and they asked for parent volunteers. So and at that point, Luke was kinda struggling a little bit, so I, like, ripped off my shoes and ran out there quick. He just happened to be his turn in, like, the front of that line, and, so that was good. I think that made him a little more comfortable, but then I'm like, "Oh, this is kinda weird now." I'm, like, around other people's kids too, because Luke did his thing, and it was this thing where we had to, like, hold him by the belt, and they were crawling, and we're supposed to, like, apply a little resistance or whatever. And then it's weird doing it, like, with other kids, but yeah, it was fun.
Cool. All right, we've got about 15 minutes left. You want to talk business real quick, and
Sure.
then we'll call it out. So let's see what's going on with Northshire Consulting. 5-minute rapid round, go.
I know, yeah. I won't take too long. We did, yeah. This week has actually been fun. We've been going in and making some trades. I'm not an active trader or anything like that, but we've been the fixed income market, the bond market, the cash market. I mean, anybody who's held any money kind of on the sidelines, so to speak, it's been at zero or close to zero for a long time now, and now rates are starting to pick back up, and people are, a little bit of the bank shopping a little bit, like, oh, this bank is giving me a little bit higher interest rate, and playing that game. And some of the short-term treasuries and stuff, I mean, you're getting, even a year out, you're getting close to 3% on some of that stuff. And so that's kind of exciting, I guess. To me, it is, at least. So I know a lot of advisors will just go and buy some bond funds. They won't really get in the weeds as much as I do. So to be able to go in there and research some individual bonds and do that kind of stuff is kind of fun. So been back in there doing that a little bit.
Now, are you doing that for your own investments, or is that for your client
For
investments?
clients, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so clients always come first on their trades and all that kind of stuff. So,
All right.
and I'm not too active with my own stuff anyway. So, but this is just, reallocating and doing some rebalancing, and had some new money that came in. So some positions that got transferred over, and sort of cleaning that up and streamlining that. So that's been kind of fun, because that, I feel like that's a little bit of a competitive advantage for me, because a lot of the bigger firms will either outsource that to another firm, or it's handled in a central office, or they're kind of detached. A lot of our business has, the quote advisors, as I make the air quotes there, are just really front end salesmen for home office that's going in there in the trenches and actually doing the research and the trading. So I feel like those are a couple strengths for me, and it's a way to not only add value to the situation, but save some money on fees by doing that myself, rather than outsourcing it. So that's been sort of fun for me to get back into that a little bit.
Cool.
Monitoring the state-sponsored retirement plan program. I guess that's one thing that was kind of new. We did an event locally in Newington at the library, that was sponsored by the library, the Newington Chamber, and myself. So um, the attendance was okay. We're trying to figure out how to make it a little bit better for next time around. And you know as well as I do, I mean, some of those events, I mean, it's hit or miss, and honestly, our industry does not have a great reputation with that kind of stuff. People don't want to show up because they feel like they're going to be pitched something, and
Right,
and my presentation is going to be the exact opposite of that.
right.
So we actually had somebody at the end. They're like, "Okay, well, this is nice that you've explained everything to this, but we're assuming that this is something you can do also. You can help us with this because I hadn't put anything about me or my business or anything that I can do. So I'm like the exact
You
opposite
gotta
of
at
that.
least allocate 1 minute to say, "And if you need help with any of this,
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
help you."
So we did talk about that, but
Did you do any marketing on the on the thing? Did you?
well, we did that. So that was part of the partnership. So it was the library. So they have a monitor like as you walk in that scrolls through all their events. I had an image up there, and it was going out on the library newsletters and the chamber newsletters. Chamber group stuff, and then I had marketed it around.
Okay, good. So you got the word out.
Yeah, yeah, I think we did a good job. I think one of the mistakes we made is that we just we said it was like attention small business owners or something like that. So you're excluding 95% of the population already. So we could have made it a little bit more inclusive by because there really is a message there to employees that says, "Hey, you have kind of an opportunity here to take a leadership role. If your company doesn't have a plan, you could, go back and, kiss up to your boss a little bit and be like, "Hey, we got to do this thing coming up." And I went to this thing and did the research and whatever. Um, so I guess so to do an in-person event was sort of fun. So I guess those are probably two of the biggest developments in the last couple weeks.
Good,
Let's
good.
see what's going on in there.
Yeah, so, in a similar vein, I've been doing, a lot of new marketing. In 17 years of doing business, we really never had a marketing team or an marketing function, so that we've been building that out for the last year or more, give or take, or less. We started our first outbound marketing campaigns a couple 2 weeks ago. On our first marketing campaign that we sent, we got 2 deals within 10 minutes,
Hmm.
and I was like, I can't believe that's how easy that was.
So
So
what was that list? Where was the origins of that?
of the out
Yeah,
of
who
the
did you send it to?
so over 17 years of doing business, you collect names and
Mhm.
you build a database at some point. So it was just our existing lead database, if you will, not non-customers, leads,
Awesome.
prospects, that sort of thing. So that was pretty fun. One of the other things I'm doing is starting to really try to build tight relationships with the vendors in the
Mm,
product spaces, products and services that we see our clients using or we see that our clients could be using. And that's been really rewarding so far as I've been invited to speak as a guest or keynote guest in a small webinar that a vendor's putting off. I have here's the promotion page from as hosted by the vendor. So the vendor is My Case, which is the maker of legal practice management software,
mm,
and they've asked me to come and speak on you know basic high level cybersecurity issues, protecting firm data, that sort of thing. So
mm.
that'll be new, kind of new for me, to do that kind of format. So I'm looking forward to that, and I've been promoting that. I'm not managing the signups, so I don't know. We're running heavy campaigns on trying to get people signed up for that, but I'm not running. I don't know what the signups are yet, so that'll be shared with me kind of after the event. So yeah, marketing is good. Just getting out there, networking, connecting with people, doing all that stuff that I did so many years ago when I started my business, and it's fun to get back to it. I took a lot of time off to be with the girls when they were born and kind of growing up. So now the girls need me less, and I'm transitioning back into business development, which is a lot of fun.
Was there any one big takeaway that you got from the conference that you ran back to your desk and was like, "Man, I got to implement this now"?
Um, I'm not a know-it-all, but no, I think it was just affirming. But I also am a student of the game too. So like I'm constantly poring over best practices, new technologies.
Mm.
I'm connecting and I'm staying active in peer groups and things. So no, I don't want to say there was nothing new for me, but there was really nothing new for me. But only, again, not it's because I think I'm just so close to the pulse that it
Yeah.
was just more affirming. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I wish we had more time to linger, but yeah.
I know. Yeah, no, I kind of feel the same way. I remember going to conferences and you'd see somebody at lunch and they'd be like, "Wow, did you know, XYZ?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I did. I'm a little troubled that you didn't, especially in our
Well,
business."
when I started my company, I thought I was a know-it-all, or I thought that nobody had anything to offer me from a business development standpoint. And the best stuff I ever learned was at conferences. I remember I was going to a conference to get some product training and certification that I wanted to help my business, and some other IT guys were there, and that's when I learned from that. This was in 2011 or 9 or something. I learned about practice management software for IT companies. Before that, I was running my IT company in Microsoft Outlook,
Hmm.
and that was transformative for me.
Yeah.
And then that software turned out to be so massive that I ended up hiring a consultant for that software to help me get more out of it. You know what
Wow.
I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm all in on peer learning, and I see the value of my peers now. I didn't for a lot of years when I was a younger
Mm.
business person. So
Yeah, right. You view them more as colleagues in competition, right? I think
there's a lot.
that's
There's plenty of fruit on the tree. There's plenty
Mhm.
of fruit on the tree for sure, and that took me an embarrassingly long time to learn.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
So
Well, I guess we're getting to the end. We're grinding
that's
down.
it.
We
Yeah, we
got
got
a
a
lot of
hard.
news stories that we could carry over to next time. I think
We didn't talk about the news for our visitors out there. Follow us at this is Finance and Technology Insights with Brian and Eric. We do have a. Let me just bring this up real quick. We have our YouTube channel here, so search for that and give us a subscription. We have our Facebook page and group that we like to curate our news and articles. If you've made it this far, give us a subscription or a subscribe, and that's pretty much it. Slow going for us, but as we discussed within the last couple episodes, if you make it past 20 episodes, you're within the top 1%
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
podcasters.
definitely.
Oh, and that's right. We do have Brian cuts the audio out of here and uploads it to the podcast
Sure.
networks. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and we started doing the video on Spotify video, so I think that's gonna help a little bit.
And
Keep it going.
I'm not seeing any analytics on that. I mean, I don't, my expectations are low, but are you seeing any traffic on that?
Not on the Spotify video piece, but the analytics are I just remember last time I looked, there was more podcast listeners than YouTube watchers. I don't know what that says about our physical appearance, but maybe people would rather listen to us and see
Well, an
us.
hour long show isn't,
I know.
it's
Yeah.
hard for anybody to sit down in front of an hour long show,
Yeah.
especially with this production value.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
but podcasts are so easy if you're on the go and you just
Yeah.
like to listen to personalities. So,
Yep.
all right, that's it, I think, unless you have anything else.
Nope, I think that's good.
All right, we record every Tuesday morning if schedules permit. So that's it for this week. Until then, I will see you next Tuesday, my friend.
All right. See you then.